Welcome back to the Two Oak Sisters podcast. We're so excited that you're here with us today. As you may have seen, if you follow us on the Instagrams, we are in the process of birthing a brand new offering under the Sisters That Stray umbrella. This offering will be for women who would love to reduce the pain of their periods and manage their menstrual cycle to work with their lives rather than against it. We will be guiding women to reclaim the power of their menstrual cycle and take back that control of their bodies. And guess what, women? Your menstrual cycle can serve you. And this offering will give you a new understanding and a totally new appreciation for your body, for your emotions, and for your menstrual cycle. This is truly the education and the experience every single woman should have been given at the time of your first bleed, rather than just being thrown a tampon and a condom and saying, best of luck out there.
So if this is resonating with you and you are just screaming, yes, yes, then you need to be inside our free Facebook group, Period with Purpose. You need to be in it like yesterday, girl. Search Period with Purpose on Facebook and go ahead and join today. We'll also link that up in the show notes for you. On today's episode, we are going to be sharing about the 4 phases within your menstrual cycle and how you can nourish and honor yourself within each phase so that you can optimize your cycle to create more ease and more flow in your life.
Sounds really juicy, huh? Let's get into it, shall we? So your menstrual cycle has natural ebbs and flows, just like your body, just like nature. We are so connected to nature as women. And your menstrual cycle with these ebbs and flows leave you feeling more energized and vibrant, even magnetic, and your sex drive is on fire in certain times, and at other times more introspective and withdrawn and inward. And so if we embrace the cycles, if we embrace the phases that we naturally go through in our menstrual cycle and really acknowledge the physical and emotional changes that come along with it, then we open ourselves up to really rise within our own power. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. We are going to be talking about each of the 4 phases within your menstrual cycle, and really leaning into how we can release the stress that we create by trying to control our cycle, by trying to control our lives and our bodies, and lean into really what these cycles are trying to tell us. Our body is constantly speaking to us, trying to tell us, hey, it hurts when you do this. Hey, this doesn't feel good. Hey, we need to release some emotions here. And so if we really tune into that, listen to that, honor that, then it creates this beautiful flow and ease and understanding and appreciation for ourselves and our bodies.
And we can actually start to enjoy our cycles. Imagine that, actually enjoying your cycle. And quick note, important note, if you are currently on hormonal birth control, you may not feel as much resonance with the 4 phases because hormonal birth control stops your body from ovulating. You're not actually ovulating, and without ovulation, you're not having a true bleed. It's not a real period. So your body isn't necessarily experiencing its natural cycles. You can still track your phases though by starting day 1 of your cycle with the new moon.
So let's get into it. We are going to start with the first phase. And the first phase is the luteal phase, also known as the premenstrual. We like to start with this phase, even though it's not day 1, because this is the most important and powerful phase of your entire cycle. And this is really where you're like clearing out that energy, clearing out what doesn't serve you, so that you have a more peaceful flow when you bleed. So that's why we're going to start with this one. And so in your luteal phase, your hormones are starting to fall. They're starting to drop. So you have this kind of drop in your energy level. And what's happening inside your body is your uterus lining is starting to shed. So the key in this phase is really creating space for yourself, creating time for yourself, stillness, time in meditation, alone time, and really honoring yourself. So emotionally, what's happening? You are physically shedding that liner of your uterus, right? And emotionally, you're shedding what no longer serves you. So really tuning into what are limiting beliefs, fears, doubts that I am ready to shed and let go of. Anything that is not true for you is ready to be released. And this is really how you clear yourself to create yourself to be this really true vessel, clear channel for source to work through. Because like we're going to talk about, when you're bleeding, you're receiving the insights. So this is the most important process. So it's important because if we don't clear out these emotions and feelings and limiting beliefs, then it actually causes more pain when we bleed, more physical pain. And it also creates confusion, and your body is just like storing all these things that it doesn't need. It's telling you, it's literally telling you, let's shed, let's get rid of this. So it's so important to have a practice that you stick to when you're in your luteal, your premenstrual, and you are shedding, you're releasing. And when we do this, we actually lose less menstrual blood, which of course it's okay to bleed, right? We want to bleed, that's good. But our blood is very sacred. It is this life force energy. And so when you have a really heavy period, you're losing a whole lot of blood. So this process is super important to really shed emotionally, so you're not physically having as heavy as a bleed. This is also going to help you have less cramps, because cramps can be like when you're holding on to stuff emotionally. If you release that, then you're going to have a more, really overall, a more beautiful experience in this phase and in your menstrual phase. So feeling everything that comes up in this phase, creating the space, and embodiment is a huge tool to use in this phase, which is embodiment is breath, sound, movement. And it really allows your emotions to rise, and then you release them through breath, sound, movement.
So Leah, could you give me some examples of how to release some specific emotions? So say, I'm feeling anger, I'm feeling really sad. Can you give me some examples of how I could embody those emotions to release them?
Definitely. So what I love to do when I'm experiencing anger is really getting it out of my body. So screaming into a pillow and just like allowing that sound to come out of your physical body. You can literally even like beat a pillow, like throw a pillow around, scream into it, go outside in nature and just scream. Like that feels so good to physically let that leave your body. With fear, shaking the body is really powerful. So you can stand up and just like shake your body, shaking it from head to toe, and allowing that fear to just like move out of your body. Sadness, really opening your heart and allowing the sound, the cry, the tears to just leave your body. A really good cry can be so incredibly healing, and a lot of times we try to suppress ourselves and try to hold it in. So really allowing yourself to just create, again, we're creating the space, creating the container for ourselves to move through all of the emotions that may be arising. And when we're feeling, we're allowing ourselves to feel, we open ourselves up to create. Creativity is birthed from feeling. And so all of this, the feeling and letting the emotions move through you and shedding, is going to result in a more, a less painful period, a less painful bleed. Because when you're having a painful bleed, your body is just telling you, hey, look at me, listen to me, like trying to tell you this. And so in this phase, we're really paying attention and we're listening and we're giving ourselves the space.
So all of this knowledge that we're sharing with you around what's going on inside of our bodies during these phases is really helpful to not only get to understand yourself better on a deeper level, but we also want to be sharing with you how you can apply this in your life, and to be thinking about what these phases are effective for, and how you can basically start to plan and optimize your life around your phases, so that your phases and your cycle starts to work for you. It creates more ease and more flow because you're working in flow with your phases rather than working against the natural rhythms of your body. So I'm curious, Leah, can you please share with us more about what this particular phase, the luteal phase, is effective for?
Definitely. So the luteal phase, we are creative in this phase, but it's more of this like intuitive creativity, like a mentally creative time and space. So having an outlet for that, like drawing or painting, writing, really helps that creativity kind of like move through you, move outward. So we're active, physically active during like the first few days of this phase, and then we start winding down. The hormones are dropping, remember? So it's important to move your body, of course, but it's very important to be very gentle and mindful. So checking in with your body and saying, how do I feel today? How can I best honor my body today? I really enjoy doing like heavy weight training during this phase, so I'm not like jumping around doing cardio, but my body still kind of wants that active component. Also, this is a really great time to be thinking outside of the box. So you're down to problem solve. You're down to like be like, okay, this is the problem. How can we solve it? You're very assertive during this phase. And you're like ready to come up with ideas. Like you're ready to come up with strategic ideas. So if you're an entrepreneur, you have your own business or whatever your career may be, this is the opportune time to come up with strategic ideas within your business. You are like, your editing skills are on point. You are like ready to really like give some feedback. You're organizing, like you're like, okay, let's get everything organized because you're about to bleed. And when you're bleeding, like you don't want to be doing this. So you're like, let's get like all my ducks in a row before I bleed. So organizing, problem solving, and clearing out space, and like completion of tasks. You're ready to just like complete your projects so that you can create the space for yourself when you bleed. And so yeah, moving into bleeding now, we are ready to move into our menstruation phase, our moon cycle, our period, whatever you want to call it.
Leah and I have also just finally synced up again. This has been really exciting for us because I have come off the pill. I've come off birth control after 10 years. I spent a whole decade on the pill. And about a year ago, I came off of it, and over the last few months, my period has been starting to come back, and it's starting to become regular again, which is so exciting to me. And Leah and I just synced up on the last full moon, this first full moon of the month of August, and we're both just really in this phase of celebrating this magical moon phase.
Yes, and that's what it should be like. That's what it should feel like. And so many women really dread this time. They dread when they bleed. They can feel it coming on and they're like, oh no, like really dreading it. And so our intention is to shift that, to shift women from dreading their period to really celebrating and feeling really, really good. And if you are in tune with these phases, this is the most important component to really understanding your body and understanding your cycle. And so it creates this more ease and flow. And then when you do bleed, you're like, yes, like this is sacred. This is my most powerful. I'm at my most powerful when I'm bleeding.
Yes, because when you're on the pill, you may still be bleeding, once a month, but that's not a real bleed. It's not a real period. So when I finally got my period back after coming off the pill, it is such a celebration to me to see my period and to see myself bleed and have a real period again is truly so exciting to me. It's something that I consider so sacred and I celebrate it. It's a celebration every time I start bleeding now because I know how sacred it is, and I know I don't take it for granted anymore. I don't take it for granted that I do bleed every month and that I have a regular period again.
Amen, sister. I so agree.
So tell me what's going on in our bodies. What's going on with our hormones during this phase?
So menstruation phase, this is approximately day 1 to 7. I am so sorry, I don't think I mentioned the days of your luteal phase. It's approximately day 22 to 30, depending on how long your cycle is. A typical cycle is 28 days, but if you have a longer cycle or shorter cycle, it's all normal. We're all different, okay? So the days I'm gonna give you, they're approximate. So menstruation, approximately day 1 to 7. Your hormones are at the lowest, girlfriend. They are dropped. They're low, which means your energy level is low. And it's so important to honor this. And this week is all about cultivating your yin essence. So you're at your most peak yin, which means you're at your most peak feminine. So you are receptive, you are open, and this is all about creating the space to receive the creative downloads. So the insight, the messages from source, what you're going to be birthing next, what you are meant to be creating next. This is the time it's all coming in. And it's sad when we don't realize that, because we're missing the downloads. We are missing the messages. We are missing this chance to be intuitively connected. So physically, we're bleeding. The lining of our uterus is shedding in the form of menstrual blood, and so our energy is very inwards. Our senses are heightened. Like, you do not want to be around a whole bunch of people, because you're actually more your psychic powers are heightened at this time. Your senses are heightened. You're incredibly intuitive. So like, being in a crowd of people, being super social, it is not your thing, girlfriend. Stay at home, stay inwards, make a little nest for yourself. It is so important.
Protect your energy, because you're going to be very sensitive to all the energies. So Leah likes to call it her womb cave. She creates kind of nestles herself, well, we both do it now, nestle ourselves into a womb cave, where we just kind of come into our own energy and protect it, and then you're able to really tune in to the intuition and the insights and the downloads that you can receive during this time.
And because it's so important that we're receiving the downloads, we don't need to be out being social, doing all the, going to parties, and if you have your own business, like, you don't need to be on calls and doing things like that. If you have the space to do this, the freedom to do this, clear your day for the first day of your bleed, especially. Day 1 and day 2, you're going to be the most sensitive and really, really needing to take the space to drop inwards, to meditate, and to be in your own space. So Amanda and I have, since finally we're synced up, which is such a blessing, we're going to be completely clearing our calendar for day 1 and 2 of our bleeds, because it's not what we need to be doing, women. It is not. We do not need to be pushing ourselves on day 1 and day 2 especially. So really listening to the messages from your heart in your womb space. So meditating on your heart in your womb space and just listening. We love to do rituals with our menstrual blood and giving it back to Mother Earth. And so you can offer it back to Mother Earth and then just sit in a meditation and just listen to your heart and your womb space. What messages want to be come through? What is ready to be birthed through you? And so taking that time to just retreat. It's like a little mini retreat every single month, and it's just your time. So I love to create playlists, take really nice baths, do some nice, slow, sensual dancing, some yin yoga, and really, really just truly honoring yourself, eating some really warm, nourishing foods. I basically live off cacao. When I bleed, I just it's just everywhere. I bathe in it. And so this time when we bleed is most effective for processing emotions and going deeply into meditation and really reflecting. So resting and journaling on the question, what wants to be birthed through me? What am I meant to create in this next cycle? And spending some time in nature. Mother Nature is super, super nourishing, and we're so connected to her, especially when we bleed. And this is the opportune time to just be held by nature. You're inward and you're connected. So if you have a writing practice, really good time to write, and getting in touch with your inner child. So art, how can you express yourself? Painting, just painting for no reason, not trying to impress anyone, but just painting for the expression of creativity. And gentle touch during this time, so you can give yourself a breast massage your ovaries, massage your womb.
So I really love what Leah is sharing here, because I know so many women out there dread this phase. They dread the menstrual phase, and they tend to think that they just go crazy and they're like, I just want to lock myself in a dark room and not talk to anybody. And we also have this really hard time to just relax. Like women are just, it's funny, we have a really hard time relaxing and releasing the guilt around relaxing and resting. So it's beautiful to see that during this phase, this is actually our superpower. Like this is when we as women are tuning into our superpower, and it is a time to rest and nourish, and that's beautiful, and practice all this self-care without the guilt. Release the guilt, because this is really what your body needs. It's what your body is calling for. And on top of that, sometimes we're like, I don't have time to rest. I don't have time for self-care because I got to be going. I got to be doing. If I'm resting, I'm not getting anything done. I'm not being productive. But actually these practices, journaling and getting quiet so that you can receive these downloads, that is productive because you're using your superpower. You are resting and being quiet so that you can receive this divine inspiration and intuition and downloads that, that's valuable. That is so valuable to receive that, and then to move into the next phases and be able to apply it later on, in the month. But this is important, and the resting can be, quote unquote productive. It can be, and it's a very, very important and powerful time within our cycle. Mm-hmm. So instead of thinking like, oh my gosh, I have to block off a time, a whole day, I lose a whole day, instead of thinking of it that way, this is actually this is a really special time to be retreating and to be receiving really valuable insight.
And really giving yourself permission to do so, then it releases the guilt, this shame, the embarrassment of our menstrual cycle when we're bleeding, because it's just, we have been conditioned to be so shameful of our blood, of bleeding, like, oh my gosh, did I bleed through my pants? Or oh my gosh, does anyone have a tampon? Tampon, please. And really realizing that, next time you bleed, here's a challenge. Next time you bleed, I want you to just, announce it to the world. Announce it to the world. And when we speak the things that we think that we're shameful of, it releases the shame. It releases it. It might make someone else uncomfortable, but guess what? We don't care. We are bleeding women, and we are proud of it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
So next phase, this is your follicular phase, and this is approximately day 7 to 12. And this is rebirth, honey. You are fresh, you are new, you have died in your menstrual phase, and you have been rebirthed. Mm-hmm. Total fresh, new energy after bleeding, and you're not quite ready to take action on all the creative downloads you received, but you are ready to make some plans, to research, and really harnessing that structural thinking. So your hormones are starting to pick back up because they were very low when you were bleeding. They're picking back up. They are rising, and so are you, Miss Phoenix Rising. And so your hormones are actually really balanced during this week. The left and right sides of our brain are the most balanced during this week, and so our yin and yang are actually the most balanced. So you're very balanced, so it's time for researching, it's time for that, really thinking deeply, making plans, making lists, all that type of stuff. And so with your hormones, you're going to start feeling more extroverted. And it's actually, with what's going on with your hormones, your appetite is probably you're not going to feel as hungry, basically. So it's super important to eat often, but light is the best way to navigate this phase and balance your hormones throughout it. And so you're feeling this extra energy, you're feeling dynamic, you're feeling active, you're feeling fresh, fun, and flirty, and really harnessing that fresh energy.
Ooh, okay. Juicy stuff. So tell me, what is this time effective for? Because it sounds like you can get some stuff done, right?
Definitely. So you are not quite ready to like take a whole bunch of action because again, like you're renewed, you're like, you're fresh from bleeding, but you're definitely ready to start making some plans. So you're like, let's plan, let's make lists, let's set goals. Your mental clarity is on point. So if you discovered that there's something new you want to learn about, it's time to research, it's time to learn, put your learning cap on, and really making connections. So like setting up meetings, doing some market research. If you're an entrepreneur, do some research around your ideal client. Like, what are they doing right now? How can you best serve them? Really looking at your business and saying, this is working, this isn't working, and putting structure in place. Great time to make decisions because your mental clarity is on point. You are renewed, that like refreshed, vitalized energy. So making decisions, your concentration is on point. You're feeling really independent. You're feeling like, I got this. Your physical stamina is starting to rise again. So this is a really good time to get outside, do some cardio. This is a good time for cardio because your energy is rising. Group fitness classes, girl, get your booty in a group fitness class, make some new friends, you're playful. Explore, you're curious, you are like this emerging, awakening energy. Also, a really good time to be working with your yoni egg. So this phase and the next phase we're going to be talking about is a really great time to be working with the yoni egg. We'll probably do a whole nother episode on the yoni egg. You can find information on yoni egg practices inside our Facebook group, Period with Purpose. Join us, and it's super juicy in there. But yeah, working with the yoni egg during this phase and the next phase is super powerful. You're ready to really harness and like create that sexual energy within you, and that sexual energy equals creative energy, which we'll get more into the next phase, but really good time to be doing that. So yeah, you are like making goals, you're making plans, you are thinking, you're making new friends, you're using your yoni egg. It's a great time.
I love it. That's a fun phase. All right, so now what do we have left?
Our last phase, ovulation. And so this is approximately day 12 to 21, but this is a broad estimate of days because the thing about this phase, you only actually ovulate for 24 hours. But your ovulation phase is obviously a bit longer. It's really about 3 to 5 days, but we're putting it in day 12 to day 21 because this is when you should be feeling this energy. So your hormones, girlfriend, they are peaking. You have the most energy during this phase. You are full-on yang energy. So your inner masculine is on fire. Like you are ready to express yourself. You're ready to take some action. You're ready to birth some creative projects. What's happening here is you are fertile. So you are ready to make a baby. And a lot of women actually don't realize this, and we get tricked into being on birth control because we think that we can get pregnant any day of the week. Like we just think any day of the week I might get pregnant, so I should just like be taking the pill. It's the safest option. And we have been so misled because we can only get pregnant when we're ovulating. So it's really like a 2 to 3 day period that we can actually get pregnant, because if you do have sex before, the sperm will stay in there, and then when you're ovulating, you could make a baby. But we can get into that in another episode. Yeah. We'll get super deep into that. But it's good to know. A sign that you're ovulating is when you start to see that cervical mucus in your underwear. It's going to be kind of like a sticky texture. It's like a white or clear color, and that's a sign that you're ovulating. So what's happening here, your hormones are rising, right? So your skin looks awesome, you're glowing, your appetite might be a little bit lower, but you have a whole lot of energy, and like you just feel good. You feel sexy in your skin, you feel ready to go find you a lover, you feel ready to just go try new things, and you're ready to just take action on all the projects. You're ready to work towards the goals, collaboration. You're ready to go to parties, be super social. And so during this phase, you're the most energetic and magnetic, and making you feel more confident, right? So your sex drive is at the highest because you're fertile. Remember, makes sense, sex drive, fertile. So a lot of us don't realize, that our sex drive throughout the month is going to be going up and down, up and down. And this is really important to know because our sexual energy is the same as our creative energy, which is all harnessed through, sexual energy, creative energy, orgasmic energy. This is our life force energy as women, super powerful. And it's all tied together with manifestation energy. So this is the phase to be super tuned into your manifestation energy. And as you're working with your yoni egg, which is a great time to be doing this, or intentionally self-pleasuring, or making love with your partner, you are cultivating that sexual energy, which you can harness into manifestation. Pretty interesting, right? So during this phase, ladies, I also encourage you to indulge. Indulge in things that bring you joy, that bring you pleasure. Really celebrate what it means to be feminine. Like, what does it mean to you to be feminine, and the ability that we have to create life as women, celebrating that, indulging in that. Dress up for no reason. Take yourself on a self date, because that is fun.
It is.
Dating yourself is the funnest thing there is. And really getting out there with your friends and maybe making new friends, going on a date, like whatever it is, you're ready to be social and get out there.
Okay, so tell me what this time is effective for. Like, what should I be planning in my social calendar, in my work calendar during this phase?
You need to be taking action. You need to be in your full masculine. Well, of course, there's a balance and rest and all of that, but you're ready. Like, you are ready to really take action on what came through during your phase where you were bleeding. So you're like, okay, I'm ready to verbalize my thoughts and feelings. I'm ready to express myself. You have a very outward focus of your creativity. So like outward. This is a time for productivity, for teamwork, for supporting others, collaborating and creating relationships, really focusing on your relationships. This is the time to ask for what you need.
Like a raise,
yeah.
Right? Or like asking for what you need in your intimate relationships, right?
Really communicating. You're ready to express your truth. And you are really able to verbalize your thoughts and feelings. So definitely, good point. In your intimate relationships, this is a beautiful time to really be saying, hey, this is working for me and this isn't. And really through this, you're able to cultivate a lot stronger of a connection with your partners, with your maybe lover, or your friendships, or your parents, or your children. You're really able to express yourself and ask for what you need. This is a really good time for birthing manifestations, like we talked about, really harnessing that sexual energy and your manifestations. If you're an entrepreneur, schedule your launch during this phase. This will change your life. Schedule your launch during this phase because you are ready. You're ready to just like be out there. You're ready to be seen on camera. You're ready to close deals, close sales call. You're totally ready. You're confident. You're in the flow. You're outgoing. You're bold. And your libido is very high. So again, with the yoni egg practices, self-pleasure practices, you're ready to just kind of like cultivate that sexual energy.
I just think that this is so helpful for women to be hearing right now, because I feel like there's just these ebbs and flows that if we don't understand what's going on, we can start to feel so frustrated, in our relationships, at work, when we feel, we might be in our menstrual cycle and we show up and we have to, pitch and land a deal and we're just like not feeling it. Or when we're feeling frustrated internally and we can't verbalize that to our partners, or the other way around. Now we understand, like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling so outward, I'm feeling so expressive. And I think it's just really helping women to understand what's going on internally so that they can express themselves externally and start asking for what we need, start stepping up and using our masculine energy as well, and asking for what we need, expressing our truth, and honoring the ebbs as well, honoring that time that we need rest and restoration and rejuvenation and nourishment and all that juiciness. So for me, this has totally changed the game to understand what phase I'm in, and then I can really plan my life around it. It's really been a game changer for Leah and I in our business and in our relationships. I mean, even in our relationship with each other, it's so helpful.
Yeah.
It's so helpful.
And to think that, we went most of our lives without knowing that this was even a thing, because there's this gap in the medical system, like the doctors are not educating women on what is birth control and what is it doing to your body and how is it going to affect you and your fertility and you down the line, how is it affecting you as a person, and then also not educating us on all our 4 different phases, not even bringing to our attention that we are going to be going through these different ebbs and flows throughout the month and how we can really honor ourselves and take care of ourselves, because ladies, our menstrual cycle is our 5th vital sign, and it is trying to tell us things all the time, which is one of the things about birth control is it suppresses that, so you're not able to listen to your menstrual cycle. Of course, we are not here to tell you that you should not be on birth control. We just want to educate you so you have all the options out there, because we were not given the options. We were not given them. And that's really our intention here, is just to give you the education that you deserve. You deserve to know what's going on in your body. You deserve to understand what's happening with your emotions and how that affects you in the world around you, how you can move through the world around you in a way that is more true to you, a way that you can understand yourself, and then you can show up in the world as this best, brightest version of you. And understanding that your fertility is not just about making babies. Your fertility is your health, it's your well-being. And really at, this age that we're at right now, like, late 20s, it's about prevention. Because when we get to the time where we want to have babies, we don't want to be like, oh man, like I didn't know that decade of being on birth control was going to like really affect me and being able to have a baby, So that's our intention, is just giving you the education so that you can do with it and what you want and make the best informed decision for you, your body, your relationship, and your life.
All right, menstruating warriors, we love you so much. And if this was helpful for you to hear, please, please, please spread the love, spread the knowledge, share the knowledge. Knowledge is power, knowledge is wealth. If you can share it with another menstruating warrior in your life, please, please do. If you feel like this knowledge was helpful for you, please share it with someone else in your life who you feel could benefit from hearing this and learning this as well.
And don't forget to join the Facebook group, Period with Purpose.
It's a period party, y'all.
Super juicy content in there and community. You don't want to miss out on it. We hope to see you in there, and we'll stay connected with you there.
Catch you in the next episode.